Loading snacks.
What's good, Loading Snacks Universe? Your boy Jokes is here. I got the homie Gage, I got the homie Sin, and it is time for another episode of Spoiler Boys!
Spoiler Boys!
We are continuing our journey in the Mandalorian Season 3 with Episode 5 named The Pirate. Let's go around. I know we've been switching up a little bit. Let's go around. Let's get some scores. Let's do 1 to 10. We'll do a scale 1 to 10 on this one. See where everybody's feeling right now before we get to the end of this. So, Sin,
Yo,
1 to 10, sir. What would you rate Episode 5 of Season 3?
an 8. This was an 8 for me.
All right. Gage.
I'm teetering between an 8 and a 9.
Nice. Sin, I'm right where you are. I'm at an 8 for this episode. Thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end. But let's go ahead and let's go jump in and let's have a little discussion. So episode 5 opens back on Navarro. We knew at some point somehow we were going to end up back here potentially for some part of this story. We open with Grief talking with his I guess his counsel. I don't know if that'll be the proper term to use, or a counsel, about doing some rearranging to make some things make sense within the city when it comes time for like port and travel and cargo and those type of things. But in the middle of that, we have a little appearance of a big old giant starship above the city. Like, this is the way the ship shows up. It's like straight up like alien invasion type scenario when it pulls up on the city. Bulgarian Shard from earlier in the season, who Mando had a run-in with, showed up to the city, pretty much telling my man Grief, like, listen, I'm about to lay waste to the city. This isn't how things are supposed to be. You're not really part of the Republic or whatever, but I don't like you. Like, they pretty much have it. But Grief pretty much stands his ground, even though, you know, he's not necessarily like a mercenary or anything like that anymore. Saying, you know what, I'm gonna defend my city. I don't care what it is you're gonna do. But Gorian pretty much unleashes all of the artillery within the city, starts shooting everything, people having to run away, leaving the city. How do we feel about how we started out with this episode so far?
I'm good with it. I like how it started off. I was waiting for the pirates to show back up because we knew at some point they were, and here we go. Swamp Thing and his crew are back. Why they're blowing everything up doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you want to like kind of rule and take over, he's gonna leave everything in shambles. But okay, you know, you're doing your pirate thing, I guess. But no, I was completely cool with the way it opened. I was waiting for them to come back up so I can at least see a little bit more of this green dude before he gets off eventually. So yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the way it started.
Dig it. Gage?
This is how you start. I think this is how you start a show. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get it popping. I mean, it sounds right. Like, I mean, I don't know why you're blowing up the whole city, I guess, that you intend to take care of. But there's a part of me that feels like they're not really trying to take over anymore. Like, they just kind of want to make them pay. And you know, I just think because they're pirates and because this is a place that isn't under the protection, you know, he even says, like, man, they can't, like, Grief kind of tried to fake, like, we're under the protection of the new. It was like, hey, dog, they can't even protect their mid-rim jumps from us.
True. Very true.
Anybody coming to help you, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can try that with somebody else. You're not getting that with me. So I kind of appreciate that he tried to fake it. You know what I mean? And he doesn't really want, like he said, I think the first time we saw him in like episode 1, he was like, he didn't really want to be under. He liked the idea of being independent and not kind of dealing with the New Republic or dealing with whatever the empires. That independence comes with some And, you gotta deal with it. And so
Yeah,
You got no backing, so
I
you
mean,
gotta handle it yourself when it comes.
your issues, you deal with it. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where it was. So, Grief had to make a decision. Like, they needed help. So the first thing he could do was try to reach out to the New Republic. Even though they're independent, you would think that the New Republic wouldn't turn their back on somebody, a planet, wherever there was in need. You could tell my man he was trying to like swallow his pride a little bit when he was like having that conversation about needing, or recording the video of needing help to come to the planet. So he records that message, and we know it gets sent off. So it gets picked up by I forget the dude's name. It's Tiva, if I'm not mistaken. We've seen him in a couple previous episodes, where him and Mando had a run-in.
I was happy to see him again.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see him again. Kind of let off Mando, just kind of like, yeah, you know what? I didn't see nothing. Just go ahead about it. So, in doing so, immediately he's like, I got to try to see if we can figure out how we can get some help. So before we get to Tiva, of course, leaving Alpha Base, I believe is what it was called, to fly off to Coruscant to try to rally and get the necessary help. We get a little surprise cameo. That I kind of figured we would see certain characters show up eventually, but we got Zeb from Star Wars Rebels to show up. I was very happy to see his character live action. Steve Blum still doing the voice. I was like, this was a good little treat for those fans that have tuned into like Rebels and have stuck with this series. I think it's really good how they're canonizing all of these good elements of Star Wars. How do we think of Zeb's little cameo in the episode?
No, it was cool. I agree with you. It's dope to see him pull aspects from stuff like Rebels, you know what I'm saying, that people may not be familiar with, but put them in a live action form and bring them to us. I think it was cool. I hope they keep, doing stuff like that. That'll give people to go back and watch these things who may have never seen before. When people start talking about, oh, you don't know who he is, yada yada yada, you gotta go watch Rebels and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's cool to do stuff like that.
And it was quick. Like it didn't overstay its welcome. I thought they got my man in, gave him a few lines, just enough for us that have tuned in, that know the character, to kind of get excited about what's to come. Now, obviously, right now he, other than being a part of this rebel faction, this rebel group, not too much the character really did, but definitely that's going to be in the back of our minds of where's Zeb potentially going to come into play at, and will we see, some other reunions, Zeb, Bo-Katan, some other character. Like right now, like Mandalorian season 3 it's starting to go in the right direction. But quick cameo in and out. We head back to Coruscant. So I didn't think, I said it before, I didn't think we were actually going to get back to Coruscant anytime soon. I thought that was going to end up being something maybe we saw. Well, I mean, we're getting close to the end. But I didn't think we were going to really see any interactions or anything.
Hey, speaking of going back to Coruscant, at some point I need somebody to explain to me the distance between places. Because he sent a message, we need help right now, we're under attack. Yeah, I'm going to fly from the outer rim all the way back to Coruscant to ask somebody if we're allowed to help you, and then come all the way back while it's just the distance between places.
Yeah, I know that we've talked about this multiple.
Alpha Base joint was on the outer rim. I don't think he's on the outer rim. I mean, he could have been, but I don't think he was on the outer rim. I mean, he did fly all the way to Coruscant, and Slim did say when he got there, like, you a long way from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you way outside of. But I don't necessarily know that they ever told us exactly where that base is located. But my man definitely made a Slim's flight path. Hey, look, dog. It's some stuff you just gotta let go.
You could have FaceTime the dog like.
So, and listen, apparently communications don't go that far. I don't know. My man had to record a hollow.
They don't have live action FaceTime. That doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They sending live video cassettes. I mean, I just know my man's fuel consumption.
What
is incredible.
Not to mention my man, like in going from wherever that was to Coruscant. I mean, my man was flying in the X-wing. Now, I know X-wings are very maneuverable. They're quick. I don't know what their fuel mileage type thing really is, but it got him where he needed to. X-wings can go into hyperspace. It can go into hyperspeed. So I don't know. It's just one of those explanations. You know what? They just say, you know what? Just let it go. But Tiva, of course, he makes it back to Coruscant. Goes to rally for help. So what I'm taking is one of his direct superiors goes to the office. I forget the actor's name. I don't know about y'all. When I first saw him in the office, like I just had like a good like laugh for a couple seconds. Just thinking there was going to be some super like comedic moment or something that was just going to happen at this moment in time. He kept it chill. But Tiva's in there trying to petition, like, listen, Navarro needs help. And clearly we know with everything that's going on, Superior doesn't really know that Navarro, I guess, isn't actually a part of the New Republic. Because as he starts to have the conversation about trying to get help, initially, he seemed a little receptive to actually being able to do it, even though they had like the backlog of everything that had to be done. But then Elia comes in the room, and as soon as she shows up, I'm like, okay, she's about to try to just derail this whole entire thing. There's clearly something that she's still doing behind scenes, whether it's with Moff Gideon or some other potential faction. There's another, she has an ulterior motive going on. And, she just subtly drops that tidbit that, Navarro's not really, they're not part of the New Republic. So once she says that, that whole conversation just shifts gears and changes from being, oh, maybe it will send some help, to kind of like, that's a problem. Like he just straight up was like, oh, they're not part of New Republic. That's a problem. So how do we feel about how that conversation went? Like, we know this reaching out for help was going to potentially be an issue. Gage, what did you think?
I mean, look, we know that she's up to no good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it makes it so that we're way more aware of the fact that there's something else that's happening on Navarro, or Navarro is important for some reason and other than what we have thought. You know what I mean? And I don't know if was some sort of a cloning operation that was already happening there or something along those lines. Obviously they set up base there for a reason when they were after Grogu in the first place, because they sent him to go find Grogu and bring Grogu back there. So for this planet that is kind of untapped, and even just for this town, I mean, that town's not that big when you consider the whole size of the planet. You know what I mean? And so it's not like when Mando grew up on a moon, this is a full planet. So there could be any number of things going on anywhere on that planet that don't, like you would, that hasn't been tapped into. And Moff Gideon is probably already on that planet or headed there. And I think that there are probably whoever rescued him is probably there already.
Sam?
I like the scene. I appreciate it because I've been waiting for us to get back to what happened like 2 episodes ago, trying to figure all this out. So now we got some more insight as to what's going on. So I definitely appreciated that. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her, but she's doing her thing, being sneaky. Like Gage said, whatever's going on in Navarro, she's making sure she does her part to keep them away from it, the New Republic away from it. So I'm very interested to see where this development goes. But yeah, I'm with Gage on this one. Yeah, I liked it, and with Moff on the loose, like you said, who knows? This planet's important for some reason, just we don't know yet. But I'm hoping we get there before the end of the season, so we could, get the answers to some of these questions we have.
I dig it. And them having the conversation TV kind of brought up, these, we say one-off events that are happening, but he starts putting that question, like, what if these events that are happening are like they're actually connected, and the remnants of the Empire it's still here, like right now this is like a little fire. These are like little small problems that we should probably go ahead and start taking care of now, because once these things start grouping up and become a bigger issue and then you want to jump on it, it's going to be too late. So I thought that was a good foreshadowing for some things to come. I know we've talked about potentially being the birth of the First Order and things like that, or maybe if somehow this is going towards the direction of something else. But I thought that was a good foreshadowing of things are going to get much worse before they get better if you just sit here and go through all of your little, your little digital file things or whatever this is you guys just keep getting piled up on your desk. Like I don't know, as many people that are there and all the stuff they keep, like they're just like so backlogged with Imperial stuff. I just wonder when it gets to a point where it's just like, you know what, just anything that's Imperial, let's just chuck it. Let's just get rid of it.
That droid tried to throw all that stuff on his desk. He's like,
he wasn't
put that
having
in.
it.
Droid's like, man, don't take this. Don't get this. They told me put this in.
Because they're just getting piles and I'm gonna say paperwork that just has to be done. But I feel like there comes that point where it's just got to be like, you know what, this Empire stuff, we got to just be done with it. Like, just take all that stuff and like just chuck it in a closet and let's just start fresh. But from there, obviously,
but I think that's what they've done. I think that's what the problem is. It's the hubris of the New Republic of being like, yeah, we won, we beat them, they gone, it's over, we did it, right? And it's like, we have these Imperial ships, these whatever, we just scrap them. We just have the power or the ability to really have jurisdiction throughout this entire galaxy, right? And so that's part of what the problem is, and that's what allows something like the First Order to continue to operate, for them to essentially, like we talked about before, for them to essentially be, Hydra to, the New Republic itself. That they don't see it because it's them. You know what I mean? It's part of them. So it's the same thing that happened with Shield and Hydra, right? So, there's so many checks and balances in place that it puts so many barriers in place that by the time you go through this person who has to then check with this person and then it has to go through this, you know what I mean? While you're going through the rules and the rhetoric of this is how we have to process this because we have rules and regulation and people need that. People who don't care about the rules just do what they're gonna do.
That is absolute facts. But at this point, Teva knows he's not getting what he needs. The help, like they tell him, we'll see if there's something that we can do, and kind of like we'll get back to you. But clearly, as of this point, there's no help coming from this end. So he has to think of something else, and clearly, he gets an idea. He travels, and it just so happens he's reading a beacon. He's back in his X-Wing. He reads a beacon where he's at, and he ends up showing up to the Mandalorian camp. So, first thing in seeing this, I was kind of like, how did you find these Mandalorians that are like in a cave in the middle of nowhere, other than having obviously a tracker on Mando or something like that? And, I didn't put the dots together, but then once he gets there, he hops out, he starts to walk up, making sure he don't get shot. Like he don't know
He
nobody's
was
around.
about to get smoked.
He had to come up real quiet, and he just announced himself. Was a good thing, because otherwise he probably would have got busted before he even made it to the cave.
Facts.
But he knew Mando was there, and Mando comes out and starts to have the conversation with him. The first thing is just like, first of all, why and how did you find where we were? Because now, because you know where they are, the Mandalorians are going to have to move camp, go someplace else, because you know where the hideout is. And he tells Mando and the rest of the Mandalorians they're ready to just kill my man right now on the spot. And he's like, you guys got somebody there that I used to work with. That was part of my team. And I'm thinking to myself initially, like, which one of these Mandalorians in here didn't hop ship or something like that? And then we just have R5 just roll up. And a part of me was just like, okay, R5, now you got a more important role here in this whole entire thing. You little snitch. I want to say you're a little snitch right now, but in this particular case, I think this worked out to the advantage. And he has, hey, I got a message from Grief. It's not necessarily, it wasn't originally directed at Mando, but he's essentially saying at this point, Mando, this message is for you. It's like, I know you work with this guy. He needs help. The New Republic, they're going to sit on their ass. They're not going to do anything. So relays the message to Mando. And from there, Mando ends up having, pretty much they all have a group. All the Mandalorians have a group meeting with each other. Mando wielding, I guess that's the thing. The armor's hammer. If you have the hammer, you're in control of this conversation. He's giving them his reasons on why we should be able to help Navarro. Like, we know with Grief, you guys had the Mandos and you guys had beef beforehand, but right now it's not the time for that because of the grand problem that could be coming along shortly. So Mando gives his big speech, passes the hammer back off to the armorer. The armorer asks anybody else, hey, does anybody else want to speak on this matter? And we have, I forget his name, we have the big burly Mando with the machine gun come up, and I'm just like, oh, he gonna come up here. He about to
derail this whole thing.
He's about to shut this down right now. And that's where the conversation started seeming like it was going to. But there was a little bit of a shift. And he started talking about how he's worked alongside of Mando. Mando helped save his son. And I think for the Mandalorians, that's probably saving the foundlings, saving the young ones. Like that's the biggest thing that you can do. And my man went on to shift the gears, hit that 180, and was like, we need to do this. Start giving explanations. And if I remember right, the line was, why? Because we are Mandalorians. Like he had that that I don't know why that hit some way when he said that.
Mm-hmm. Especially coming from him, considering that he's been going butting heads with Mando and stuff like that all this time. So for him to come out and say that, nah, I rock with Mando. Bo-Katan has definitely proved herself. Like, they're asking us to do this. Yeah, we need to do this. Yeah, let's go.
Especially saying, like, we have put our life. Why do we have to? He was like, beforehand, we have to keep putting our lives on the line for these others that don't walk the path. And like at that point, that's where I thought that conversation was going to completely derail. But then when he hit that 180, gave his reasonings, everybody was on board for it. So I was real happy to see that. And Mando was like, hey, listen, this man Grief offered me land, but hey, we can have a new home. We can be amongst people. We don't need to be hiding in these caves, and we can have a different life. We can still walk the path, but we can have a better life. So the children can grow up, not be hid away. They'll be able to play. They'll be able to grow, get educated. Like, this is the type of thing that we should get into to better our own lives out of it. So, unanimous decision, clearly. We're going to go save the folks in Navarro. So once again, like Bo-Katan's ship, I don't know the anatomy of her ship, but clearly it's got some serious compartments and room in that thing. I think we need to have like a tour of her ship, because most of them were all loaded up, other than Mando and Grogu were all loaded up in her ship, taking the trip. But on the way to Navarro, you know, they're hatching out the plan to go in, take the town back, save the people, take this giant ship down. Like the plan was formulating. Get back to Navarro, and you know the city has been utterly destroyed. Like I don't understand why my man's group pretty much essentially destroyed the city to go in to take it over to essentially like they're about to live there. Like you look like you're now you're gonna have to go in here and rebuild. But I guess maybe they just like living in that type of situation. Like they're in there having a ball, they're drinking, having a good old time,
trying to shoot the little creepy rat things or whatever.
I don't think those are rats. I don't remember.
Whatever those creepy little things are that sat on Jabba the Hutt.
But you know, the city's in ruins. They're having a good time. Then all of a sudden, you know, they're outside. They look up. The N1 is flying overhead. So obviously, Mando's coming kind of to be a distraction. Gets everybody's attention.
Mando was dogging him in that ship.
Dog, listen. Dog, listen.
It wasn't even fair.
Listen, the N1, like
You want to talk about a dog fight?
Hey, there was no chance. And at first, when Mando showed up, I thought my man was just gonna take the M1 and just go after Gorian's gigantic ship by himself. I don't know if my man had super rockets or something in there he was about to take on, but it's real cool to see the abilities of the N1. Like, we honestly haven't seen the N1 work this type of magic since the early, like the prequel days, when Anakin first took over the ship and we saw them invading the armies at that point. But that little ship is a force to be reckoned with.
That thing's a move.
And because of that, Mando did exactly what he needed to do, caused the distraction, which made Gorian take his whole fighter ship and just start chasing after Mando. This whole you're gonna take the one, and that thing, and his ship could actually move pretty well as well too. Like, for a big ship, I was expecting that thing to kind of be very slow and sluggish. Like, it was still making big machine type moves and the gigantic turns and things, but that thing was actually moving pretty well. But once Mando got his attention, had him chasing him, gave word to Bo-Katan and the rest of the Mandalorians, go ahead, get in the city, start doing your thing. Let's get this back. So Mandalorians deploy from her ship, and of course there's multiple teams, so they have platoon, they got a whole squad, and we see clips from I remember when the original preview came out showing the Mandalorians showing up someplace and like having this big epic fight. We now see that happening in this episode now. How do we like that whole Mandalorian fight within the city going on down there?
Me personally, I like watching him get cut down by Mandalorians. Like, it was great to see him working as a whole squad, as a whole team, having the two different teams approach at different points or whatever. Even when they got boxed in, they were still holding it down. You know what I mean? I thought that whole scene was great. Seeing the armor coming from behind when it was on that big cannon trying to take him out. Her with that hammer and the pliers. That's all she needs. And she bodied everybody in that room. I enjoyed that whole scene. Yeah.
She's a straight
no cut. Just dual wielding.
Hey, Slim. Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. When she they got him pinned down. What they gonna do? And I'm thinking, Mando gonna fly through and do something. Something's gonna happen. Maybe Grogu gonna show up and lift the can. You know, I don't know. Because I'll be honest, I kind of want to see Grogu do something. But then there was also just like that slight piece for me that was like, you know, I can't think of their names. Them little dudes that was
mechanic dudes.
Robot apart. They got left. Like they didn't leave with the rest. I'm like, maybe them dudes gonna waddle up there or whatever and take something apart or do something. Hey, Slim, when she showed up, I was like, oh, they brought the whole squad. Who's home watching the kids? They brought the whole squad. Because they listened to her. Like, she's like the person in charge. So it's like, you kind of want to see her get busy, bruh. She got a chance to get busy. Bruh, she wiped all of them out. My man was just having a good time shooting. Turned around, got his whole face rocked with the hammer of justice, dog.
Oh yeah, my man was still on that gun like he was doing
All
something.
about
She just bam, like, dude, oh, you never saw it coming.
And for her in that moment, that was light work. Like, there was no like extra exertion of that. Joint was just light work. Walking in there, like, I'm like, okay, I need to see the armor in a real true fight. Like, I don't know. She could probably wield the dark saber too, and that...
She don't need a dark saber. She got pliers and a hammer. That's all she need. That's it.
Dog.
Need a dark hammer.
Ooh,
Dog.
the dark pliers.
But the dark pliers. But yeah, she made short work of them up in there. But once they took the dude down with the gigantic turret that was pretty much helping to keep the Mandalorians boxed in, it was pretty much just easy game for them to really go through now and kind of start just cleaning up those few pieces that are left into the city. Mando's still up there taking on a gigantic ship. You know, by the time they realize what's going on, city's already being taken back by the Mandalorians. Bo-Katan, of course, shows up to start helping. And I tell you, the combination of the two of them and taking out all the rest of the little small fighters, they could leave. They could have a squadron, the two of them. Like, their ship work is...
They are a squadron.
They laid waste to everything. And not to mention, my man's gigantic ship, you know, he tried to go in for the final kill to just take out all the inhabitants of Navarro. And Mando was like, listen, we need to take that ship down. That was like a one engine. We need to take that engine down and put him down. And they put mans down. Gorian stood no chance. His henchman, I forget his henchman dude's name, the one that showed up on Navarro originally that caused the whole ruckus. He got low. He told my man, hey, listen, I was working with y'all, but now
this doesn't seem to be going in our favor, so
we getting whooped.
Deuces.
Exit stage left. I have no parts of this.
Hey, dog, my man was talking the most. You're mine, Mandalorian. I got you this time. You can't outrun me. I'm gonna catch.
Oh my god.
He outrunning circles around y'all.
Dog.
Dog,
stop it, dog. Wow.
He did the best thing he could have done, because if he'd have stuck around, he'd have gotten put down. He would have gotten put down. But end of the day,
all right. So did Gore?
I'm imagining you said that did he survive that? And you broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. Did Gorian Shar survive the crash?
Nah. He didn't make it. His
No.
Nah. His time on the Mandalorian has come to an end. He's done. You think my man? You think my man may have made it out of there?
I don't think he could have hobbled fast enough to get to the escape pod before that thing went down.
I think.
I don't know. I think his man's coming back. I think his man will be back for revenge on Mando for some reason at some point. Might not be this season.
Yes, I agree with that.
No, he gonna come back.
My man's coming back.
You're not done with Mando.
Not at all. But looks like end of the day, town has been saved. Grief, of course, has his little pomp and circumstance in giving the big commencement for the Mandalorians. Thanking them, welcoming it, and of course gives them I'm imagining a big giant chunk of land, like he said, between this area and this area. Like, the way he made it seem like he gave him like a whole country. I don't know. He gave him a big chunk of land. So I thought that was really cool. The respect, everyone is like, these guys can be heroes. They're here. You're welcome. You guys are here to stay. We know your home planet. You don't have a home planet to go to, but you do have a home to come to. I thought that was real cool and saying to them to kind of give them that respect.
And now Navarro's got backup next time something like that tends to happen. They got we got a gang of Mandalorians here. You may not want to try that.
Oh no.
Yeah, we the police force. Mando's the sheriff, and these the deputies.
Pretty much. Yep.
So I don't think no one was gonna want to mess with Navarro at this point now. So after all of that, of course, Big Burly Mandalorian goes up to Bo-Katan and is like, the armorer wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is little. So we go back to the old Mandalorian hideout that we saw back in the first season. We see the forge, the old forge. It's dark in there. The forge looks like obviously it hasn't been used in a very long time. And the armorer proceeds to start to have a conversation with Bo-Katan. And it leads the armorer to tell Bo-Katan, remove your helmet. And I kind of, I was like, at first I was like, wait, are you about to throw Bo-Katan out or something, or is there some piece of this puzzle that we haven't caught on to yet that she was about? I thought the armor maybe was gonna take her helmet off for a second. I don't know, to unveil herself as being some other character, but wasn't that point. It was the armorer coming to realization that there are multiple ways to walk the path. And the fact that Bo-Katan at this point has walked both paths. Wearing the helmet, this is the way. Taking the helmet off, doing things her way, doing it a different way at this point. She starts to come to the realization, like, this is how we can get our group, our tribe, our people back together again, because you've been on both sides of the fence for this, and you're really the best candidate to start this process in bringing all the Mandalorians back together again, since we really have a new true, I guess, base of operations, as you want to take it, with their new land and everything. This is the perfect opportunity to start to go out to do this. Armor, Bo-Katan take a walk out and start walking through all the Mandalorians, and they're all looking at her. She has no helmet on. Gets a Mando. Everyone's like, what's going on?
Question: when they walked up on Mando, did y'all think she was going to say something along the lines of, "Hey, look, you need to come up off that sword," or something like that? Like try to challenge him for it or something, right?
I thought the challenge was going to happen. I thought she was about to come. Like, they didn't have a conversation. You need a challenge. Then for that dark saber. I thought that's where that was going to, but it didn't. So I think we'll still that showdown at some point. It's going to have to happen. But with the way things are, it may not, because with the way Armorer kind of put things into perspective on there and acknowledge the fact that Bo-Katan can lead, there may not necessarily be a need for that tradition anymore. Since we're technically breaking tradition with the way Bo-Katan is really going to go about reuniting all the Mandalorians, the Darksaber could become maybe a backseat to everything now, the way that it could be. And maybe then
I'm not totally sure about that, because the thing of both sides of the you must wear a helmet, you don't have to wear a helmet camp, they both seem to believe that having the Darksaber means that you're the true leader of the Mandalorians. They both believe that. So I there is a part of me that feels like someone like Bo, who walks or has walked both sides and has to technically be the leader. It's like, that's the reason why it didn't work. It's yes, she had the saber, but she was given the saber as opposed to winning the saber. And in order for her to truly lead, she's gonna have to win the saber, because her not having the saber at the end is the reason why she says when he goes to see her in like that first episode of the season is like they all left. They all went and did their own thing or whatever, which I mean we'll get to it, but they're probably the ones, they're quite possibly the ones who went and so would be that if she does have the saber, then it gives both factions a reason to believe that they should follow her because she does rightfully have it, and she has walked both sides of it. So to me, it would make sense that the dark saber remains at the center of it, and the fact that they haven't shown the saber in like a number of episodes, and that Moff getting, they just, it doesn't make, like they're doing like press. They're going around as a team of 6, and he's with them. So I'm like, we only got 3 episodes left. He got to show up soon. Mm-hmm. They got him out there doing press with the rest of them. He got to show up soon.
Dig it.
Important, and clearly, I think they're leading to people following him. And he don't have the sword right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me that feels like he might get the sword back from Den, and she might actually have to challenge
Moff at that point. And I think that could be the way to do it. And I mean, leading to that point, that
you're fired.
But in going in that direction, that kind of leads us to the last part of the episode where we go back into space. You know, Armor talked about, you know, getting back to, we're going to take the planet back or whatever, but we're past that point. Tiva's in space, and, you know, he looks like he's searching for something, and he comes across, I believe it's a Lambda class space shuttle. Very familiar to those that have watched Star Wars. The three-winged spaceship shuttle. It's been thrashed. It has no power, and you know they're doing a scan, and they pretty much try to figure out the trajectory from where the shuttle actually came from, and quickly it was determined that this was the shuttle that Moff Gideon was being transported in when he was supposed to be making it to trial. Clearly at this point, we 100% know that this dude never made it to trial at all. Further inspection, they sent out a mech droid or a camera system to kind of go inside and investigate the shuttle. And the only thing that they could find within the shuttle were the actual pilots and the folks that actually were a part of the team during the transport of Moff Gideon. The last piece, when the camera system was like searching and detecting, they came across a piece of metal, which was what typically the Mandalorians use in their armor. And so now the synopsis is the fact that the Mandalorians apparently are the ones that broke out Moff Gideon. And I mean, that kind of what you were saying, Gage, and leading to possibly like him to leading something else. I'm wondering if it was a Mandalorian, an actual Mandalorian that broke him out, or possibly, you know, someone that has gotten a hold of some parts of their armor, kind of the way Boba Fett. I know we talked about that. I don't know if they would try to make Boba Fett be the one.
No, please no.
Like, I'm gonna be honest right now. If Boba Fett was the one that broke out Moff Gideon, he's not gonna stand a chance of fighting either Bo-Katan or Mando.
Or the armorer.
Listen, the armorer only deals with the light work. So,
or Grogu.
Or for real, probably any other Mandalorian in their camp.
Like, I don't know. That could be. It may not even be. But the fact now is we're looking at potentially, it's not. That a Mandalorian, or at least someone that had access to the metal or a piece of the armor, was definitely on that ship when he was broken out.
I mean, dog, where is the rest of Bo-Katan's clan? She was out there with Sasha Banks.
I think it's them that did it.
Yeah, it's easily.
Yeah.
It's Death Watch. Like it. Listen, that's where my money is.
Yeah,
it's them. They went and saved him because he is the last person that had the saber. He was technically running Mandalore. Am I tripping?
I think you're about right on that.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted another leader, and he could wield the darksaber. It's just a matter of trying to get it back. So, and that's where we leave off on the episode of the pirate. We got some questions answered, but then of course, guess what? For each one that got answered, we got like another another 2 or 3 of them in return for it. But I would have to say I was absolutely satisfied with this episode that we got. We know we're getting closer to the end of the season, so now we know things are going to start ramping up the way that they should. So overall, I think this episode was solid. I am still good with my 8. That the gaze shaking of the head.
What's dumb?
Nah, it's not. I think I'm at a 9, bro. Like, this is the thing. All right, so the armorer said it's time to take back Mandalore. So yeah, they got this little spot on Navarro. Mm-hmm. She said it's time to take back Mandalore.
Yeah,
that
home back
suggests a fight on a much more epic scale than the like 30 Mandalorians they maybe have in their camp.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, like if you're going to go try to take back Mandalore, what does that mean and what do you have to do it? That's a huge question, you know what I mean, that is open. Where's Moff Gideon and what's going on with Slim? Clearly they're making a play. Clearly Shorty on Coruscant has something to do with that and is knowledgeable about it, and Navarro is integral to that plan in some way. And her trying to keep the High Republic from like that, don't even go out there. Don't even look over there. Hey, something's popping over there. You know what I mean? And for Moff to have been rescued by what appears to be somebody who had Beskar armor, you know, we've mentioned the other Mandos that were with Bo-Katan, Clan Kryze. In the very first episode, we have seen ne'er hide of them. We don't know where they are or what they're doing, and or why they're doing what they're doing. So even if in their head, whatever their original plan was when they were with her, we got to go, we got to get the saber, and we need to take back Mandalore. If that was their plan, and Bo-Katan failed at that, and they left her because she didn't end up with the sword, to me, your next move is going to be, we're going to go get the person who we know can get the sword, who we know had the sword, because we want to take back Mandalore or whatever that is, right? So to me, it makes sense that they go and they get Moff Gideon. So not only is this episode answering things from previous episodes, it is, in my opinion, relatively perfectly setting up what we need to get throughout the next 3 episodes and possibly in the next season. It also was action-packed and had very few. There are some things that are dumb, but not enough for me to like really focus on it. Like them getting pinned down in the you know, that was kind of dumb, but it's not worth me getting into that because there's enough else that's going on. And Grogu didn't do anything but be cute in this joint.
Yep, that was it.
Slim still has to do something. You understand what I'm saying? And they show Zeb from Rebels. So who else from Rebels is going to show up? What have people been asking for from Rebels? I just want y'all to answer that question. You can answer it to yourself or you can answer it out loud. But Sin, you know who people been looking for Rebels. Like, what happened to? So they did a lot in this episode, bro. Like, they pushed a lot of buttons. They answered a lot of questions. They gave people what they wanted without giving too much. If you're in the know, then you're like, oh, snap. If you're not in the know, you're like, man, that was a really good episode.
Right.
For somebody who's in the know, man, this joint John like hit. Oh, it checked pretty much
many
all the
boxes.
Solid dogfight, on ground action, people getting shot, mollywop with hammers, pliers. The only thing we didn't get, right?
Okay.
Only thing we didn't get was the Force. If they'd have had like a little bit of Force in this,
just a little Grogu
just
something,
him slinging somebody into a wall or something.
might have been a 10. I don't know, dog. Like, we got Swamp Thing back. I don't know. I feel like this joint really did. Like, to me, this is easily the best episode of the season. And it might be one of the best episodes of the entire series. Full stop. Like, straight up. Like, everything they did in this episode is significant. Everything. There's nothing that feels like it was wasted time or whatever. Like, this joint just kept hitting. Even when, like, it's just my man standing in the office talking, but she's in there planting seeds and, they're not really a team. And he looks at her, you see, they cut quick to him looking at her little symbol on her chest, like, Slim, you dirty. You ain't even Slim. You got captured. You ain't whatever. No, I was liberated. Hey, dog, I hate her, but I love her. Bro. Right. I love her, and there's a part of me that feels like she gonna get some action. And like when it goes down, it's gonna go down. But like, I don't know, bro. I think I'm much closer to a 9 right now because there's not a whole lot that like didn't go right in this episode, or that it really like it left me wanting things, but like in the right way. It didn't I think this joint pretty much hit on. I'm at a 9.
I think I can meet you at that wavelength now after this conversation. I think definitely hands down best episode this season had to offer. So my hope is the rest of the season is on par with this episode or better. There's after this one for it. So,
I think next episode is a flashback to how Moff got rescued. I think it's gonna be Bo-Katan having her little falling out with that team, and then what they did after that.
Yeah, that would be dope to see.
I think that's what I think. I think the next episode is gonna be kind of a flashback of what happened, like how he got. Just the way they ended it. Makes it feel like that's the direction that they're going. Now, they might not, but that's what it feels like they're gonna do is show that, even if it's something quick. But that's what I think they're gonna do.
I dig it. I think I can meet you on the wavelength for the 9 too. This episode, just like you said, it checked all the right boxes. It checked them all, and some plus. Sin, you still in your same place as well?
Yeah, I'm still at an 8. Yes, as much as I thoroughly did enjoy the episode, I'm still at an 8 with it. Yeah,
I dig it. All right, y'all. I think we're at a place we can shut this down. We're all in agreement. This episode, absolutely solid. Gave us some things to wonder about for the next few episodes that we got coming through. I'm happy to see how we can get through the end of season 3. Guys, that's been your discussion on The Mandalorian season 3, episode 5, The Pirate. Let us know what you guys thought. Drop in the comments. Was this episode a banger for you, or did you feel like there was some dumb elements to the episode? Let us know. But until our next episode of Spoiler Boys, for the homie Gage, for the homie Sin, we will catch you later.
Loading snacks.